Hey everyone, and welcome back. Lately it feels like you just can't scroll online without hitting that huge question. Are we actually alone out here?
It's true. It seems to be everywhere. And it taps into something really fundamental, doesn't it? Our place in the cosmos.
Absolutely. It's like this pull between our everyday lives and this just immense cosmic scale.
Uh-huh.
And that's exactly what we want to dig into today. We've gathered some really interesting material, different perspectives on whether we might have cosmic neighbors.
Yeah, so our mission today is really, that's the current thinking, yeah, which puts the number of planets just in our galaxy into the trillions.
Trillions. It's almost impossible to grasp. And across all that, life only sparked here, it seems. Improbable, statistically speaking.
The odds just seem stacked against us being unique based on numbers alone. But this isn't a new idea, is it? People have been looking up and wondering for a very long time.
Oh, for ages, centuries, maybe millennia. And it's fascinating some of the historical stuff our sources brought up, like medieval paintings.
Right, the ones that some people interpret as showing, well, strange objects in the sky. UFOs, basically.
Yeah, and it kind of highlights how we tend to see things through our own lens. Maybe it was something else, maybe not. But the fascination was there.
And it wasn't just in Europe. There are mentions of similar things in cave paintings all over the world. Like Aboriginal Australian rock art has some really intriguing examples.
Wow, so a really ancient global thing.
Seems like it. And then there was that account, I think, from the Middle Ages around Bulgaria or Poland.
Oh, yeah, the aerial war thing. That sounded wild, like a documented battle between weird flying craft centuries ago.
It definitely sparks the imagination, though you have to be careful interpreting historical accounts, obviously.
Of course. How do we know it wasn't like comets or some weird weather phenomenon they didn't understand?
Exactly. That pre-scientific lens is crucial. Still, the fact that these kinds of reports pop up in different places and times,
Hmm.
it is thought-provoking.
It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these historical whispers, but let's bring it back to the modern understanding. Those planets we mentioned.
Right, the sheer number of them.
Yeah.
Billions of stars, trillions of potential worlds. It just hammers home the statistical likelihood.
It feels like the universe had so many chances.
And the basic ingredients for life as we know it, water, organic molecules, they seem to be pretty common out there, not just unique to Earth.
Which is incredible. And it's not just about like microbes either. One source brought up Tibetan Buddhism.
Ah, yes. That was fascinating.
Their belief, apparently the original and still current one, is that their ancestors actually came from space, extraterrestrials who settled in the Himalayas.
It's a core part of their cosmology, not
Yeah.
some fringe idea. It really shows how different cultures integrate these, well, cosmic origin ideas.
Yeah, and one of the sources mentioned some personal experiences there in the Himalayas that sort of reinforced this feeling. Not like seeing aliens, but just the cultural acceptance.
Like it was just a known fact within that context.
Exactly. Like, of course, our origins might be elsewhere. Very matter of fact. But, okay, let's shift gears a bit. The sources also touched on, well, weirder stuff.
Uh-huh, like other dimensions.
Yeah, beings maybe sharing our space, our coordinates, but in a different dimension. Like, we might perceive them as ghosts, and maybe they see us the same way.
It's definitely a more esoteric concept. You find it in some spiritual traditions. The idea that reality has, like, layers we can't normally perceive.
It opens up a lot of weird possibilities, doesn't it?
It certainly does. And then there was the mention of physical evidence, the ancient mummies.
Right. That was striking. Finding mummies with human female DNA, but the paternal DNA, not human.
Okay, now that's a big claim. If that's verifiable,
Mm-hmm.
what's the actual evidence? Have conventional explanations been ruled out?
Good questions. The source presented it as a finding suggesting origins beyond Earth. If true, it really challenges our standard picture of human history and, well, potential ancient interactions.
It absolutely would. But yeah, rigorous scientific scrutiny is key for claims like that. You need solid proof.
Which kind of leads us nicely into the recent government stuff, doesn't it?
The UFO, or yeah, UAP disclosures.
Exactly. UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. That's the new term for anyone
Mhm.
not following closely. It's a pretty big shift, even if they're not saying much.
It really is. Moving from outright denial or just dismissal to openly saying, yes, these things are real, we see them.
But they also say, we don't know what they are, where they're from, or what they want.
Right. Acknowledging the phenomenon, but claiming ignorance about its nature.
And didn't one source mention a time frame, like this past January, for possible more disclosure?
Yeah, that was floated. But, there's a lot of skepticism about trusting official announcements on this.
Totally understandable skepticism, given the history of secrecy and well, maybe misinformation.
Decades of it have definitely eroded trust.
So, okay, if more information were to come out, what might it look like? The sources speculated a bit.
One idea was a gradual release.
Right.
Drip feeding information because they're worried about public panic or something.
A classic sci-fi trope, but maybe a real concern. How would society react?
It's a huge unknown. Another possibility mentioned was an announcement that life's been found, but it's much closer than we thought.
Ooh, interesting. Not light years away, but maybe.
Nearby, potentially.
Mhm.
Or even, the big one, announcing actual intelligent contact has already happened.
Wow. Okay, that would change everything. Paradigm shift stuff.
Absolutely. Then there was the more out there idea.
The wormhole thingy. Yeah, like maybe they'd reveal we have tech for super fast space travel.
But even the source mentioning that immediately followed up with, like, do we really think these leaders have that kind of knowledge or tech?
Huh. Yeah, fair point. Advanced tech needs advanced wisdom, maybe.
Or at least competence.
Yeah.
It highlights that potential mismatch.
But there was also a counter idea, wasn't there? That we don't need wormholes because the life is already here.
Right here in our solar system.
Yeah, that we might be overlooking life closer to home. The sources suggested life exists on multiple worlds right here, not just Mars.
Moons specifically were mentioned, which lines up with a lot of current scientific interest, actually.
Like Jupiter's moon Europa or Saturn's Enceladus?
Exactly those kinds. The example given was a moon with a thick ice shell, but underneath, a deep, warm, liquid water ocean.
And geysers shooting water out into space.
Uh-huh. And the key part. Probes flying through those plumes, those geysers, have apparently detected signs of life, or at least complex organic molecules that hint at it.
Wow. And that ocean might be as old as Earth's oceans, giving life plenty of time to get started and evolve.
That's the thinking. It presents a really compelling picture for habitability right in our neighborhood.
So it shifts the whole perspective, doesn't it? Maybe the universe isn't just potentially alive, but, as one source put it, riddled with life.
Yeah, riddled. It suggests life might be common, maybe even the norm, not the exception, even nearby.
And there was that analogy one source used to kind of bring it down to Earth, or, well, into us.
The microcosm idea, like our own bodies.
Yeah. Think about it. Inside each of us, there are trillions of bacteria, microbes, maybe even parasites or viruses. We're an ecosystem.
We feel like one single being, but we're actually hosting a whole universe of other life forms.
Exactly. So as above, so below. Maybe even if we feel alone looking out at space, maybe the universe itself is just teeming with life on all sorts of scales, much of it invisible or unrecognized by us.
It definitely encourages a broader definition of life, doesn't it? Not just little green men, but life as potentially an integral, diverse property of the universe itself.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. This deep dive has definitely been a journey from ancient paintings to microbial life and icy moons to government secrets.
It really covers a lot of ground.
Yeah, it shows how deep this question runs, you know? So thanks everyone for joining us on this exploration. It's always amazing to dig into these huge topics with all of you watching.
Absolutely. It's great having this community to explore with.
So on that note, here's something to maybe chew on until next time. If the universe really is teeming with life, maybe not just out there, but right here in our solar system, or even just all around us on microscopic levels, how does that change how we even define life? And what does that really mean for our own place in, well, everything?
Big question to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. See you next time.